Okay, happy Monday,
Monday.
to everybody. Is Oscars Monday a thing? Is that something people
We
say?
can make it a thing.
We can make it a thing. Hello, Taylor Epps, Matt Bove, joining you. What is today? It's March 3rd. Happy March 3rd to everybody. We hope that you had a lovely weekend. How was your weekend?
It was wonderful, obviously culminating in the big day, which is Oscar Sunday.
It is incredible how two people who work in the same building where the Oscars were aired on television can feel so differently about the event. This is a big deal to you.
Allow me to lock in.
Yeah, I'm so
If
ready
I
for
may.
this. I told my wife last night, we were casually watching for about the first 45 minutes or so, and then she went on to Love is Blind. I went on to Severance.
I need to talk to her about Love is
And
Blind.
then I circled back to the Oscars for the end of it, but I specifically told her, I was like, there are people who I know, Taylor, Jeff Slauson, who adore the Oscars, and then there's people like me who have not seen a single thing nominated for any of the awards. Not one movie or anything I saw going into the Oscars this year.
You know, I think that you have to make the conscious effort. The Oscars don't just come upon you. You don't just like live your daily walk and then know exactly what's going on. You have to make a conscious effort to like watch these movies, to pay attention to what's going on. Like I predicted fairly well. I didn't do like a list or anything, but I pretty much knew it was going to happen. I wasn't shocked by much, but like that's only because I've been like deep in the Oscar fodder for the past couple of weeks. And this is my second year in a row watching all 10 Best Picture nominees. And I made some predictions. There's an article on wkbw.com. Less so predictions, more so like your Oscars guide. Here's what you should watch. Here's what you shouldn't watch. Here's what where everything is. Here's how much it costs on streaming.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wasn't shocked. The only thing I was shocked by, truly, was how much Honora won.
Okay.
I enjoyed that movie. It was the last movie I watched. I had a great time. I laughed the most during it. But like the Oscars are usually very highbrow. You know, they give it to the depressing movie about World War II.
Sure.
This was not that. It was very funny. It was about a stripper in New York City, and the storyline itself was just like not serious. So I was like, there's no way this wins. And it won a ton of awards. It won Best Director, it won Best Picture.
Well, I guess my issue with the Oscar, it's not specifically with the Oscars. This is probably just because I am not a huge movie person. It feels so inaccessible to me.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
I have a hard time. There's these 10 movies were nominated.
Yep.
Besides Wicked, I don't know. Like, I saw the speech from, I think it was the Best Director, whoever it was, about you got to go to the movies. You got to go to the movies and watch these movies. There's a difference in being in the movie and all this stuff. Of all of those movies, were they at all some point in a movie theater? And I just didn't know? Because the only
I saw
one
most of them, but not most of them. I would say I saw 4. I think I saw 4 or 5 in theaters, like maybe
Okay.
half in theaters and the rest on streaming. But the tough thing is, I don't think we're consuming mainstream media as much to the point where we see these commercials for these movies. I don't think that they're promoting these movies. Back in the day, they're doing previews for every movie.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It's in every commercial. Like you're not even like on your phone and stuff. They're not saying, "Hey, Matt, you would love Conclave." Like you're Catholic.
I found out what Honora was 4 days ago when you were telling me over at the computer about what the movie was. I never even heard of it.
I heard of it though because like I'm seeing like on TikTok I saw Mikey Madison. She's been like in a lot. I should have known that it was going to do well, that she was going to do well based on how much press that she's been getting. But it's just like you have to be in that stuff. Like you have to be served that content for every like Bills reel or football reel that you're served. I'm served something that's like Oscar adjacent.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's so many different layers to all of it. So do you want to start with, why don't we start with Honora and then we'll kind of work our way through. So what made Honora such a good movie?
Tell me what you know first about Honora.
I know what you told me was it is about a stripper, or is that even the right, can I say that on TV?
Sex worker.
A sex worker in New York City. I know that it only cost them $6 million to make the movie because they talked about it like 4 times during the speech of, hey, this was a low budget film. Never had heard of the woman who was the main character in the movie.
Me neither.
Know nothing else about it.
It was a good movie. It was solid. So like she's a stripper, she's doing her thing, and a Russian oligarch's son comes in. He's like 21 years old, like snot-nosed kind of kid. He's playing video games. Like he's like the most annoying kind of kid. So then he like, pays for her services or whatever, invites her over to his big rich house, and then they end up, spoiler alert kind of, they end up getting married.
Okay.
He's obviously not allowed to do that. So his parents find out and it becomes this huge thing. But they send like the henchmen over to like handle the situation, and it's hilarious because they're trying to like, you know, they don't want to be rude, but they're like, you know, you got to get out of here. Like, give us the ring. And they're like trying to like, you know, wrap her in a telephone cord in the house. And then the one guy's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, she's crazy. She bit me. Like, it's funny. And then he leaves. So they have to go and find him.
Okay.
And like, it's just like this, you know, one of those things where it's like, what's going to happen here?
So
like,
it was
this
not
nonsense.
so it's not a serious movie.
Not in the slightest. It's hilarious.
And that's interesting to me as somebody who doesn't know about it, and you touched on it briefly. It feels like the Oscars is the space for the 1917 cinematography. Something blows
Pretentious
up in the
movie.
background. It feels like if it's not in English, it doesn't have a chance of winning.
It said the F word, I think, 400 times in this movie,
Okay, so it's very different than what would normally be the Oscar Best Picture.
which is why I didn't think it would win.
What did you think would win?
The Brutalist.
Okay, that's the one about the architecture.
That's the one about the architect. Yeah. If you're going to watch Honora, by the way, make sure there are no kids in the room. That is extremely not safe for work. But The Brutalist was great, but it was the longest one, 3.5 hours.
That's the one that had the intermission, right?
But that's the Oscar darling. It's the serious post-World War II, Adrian Brody brooding, being depressed. He's got a drug problem. Like, that's the thing that usually wins. So that's what I thought would win. He did win Best Actor.
Sure.
But it didn't win the big award, or many others. I think it won cinematography too, which deserved.
Let's end this part with this. What should have won? Not what did win. Are you happy that Honora won, or is there a movie you think should have won that didn't get enough love?
If I had my way,
Would it have been Wicked?
Wicked would have won. I'm not unaware of the fact that I knew it wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
It's Wicked. I would have loved to be Wicked. I thought it was going to be The Brutalist, which I would have enjoyed, but I do love that it was Honora. I'm happy with that.
What was the movie that had no chance, or that shouldn't have been even in the category?
I do think they were all like valid to be in the category. I think they
Yeah.
all made sense. I don't know.
You don't have to trash on a movie that is getting all of this critical acclaim. I mean, it was a finalist for
The
an
Bob Dylan
Oscar.
movie, probably.
Oh, with Timothée Chalamet.
At the end of the night, it was the only one. I don't think it won anything.
Oh, poor Timothy.
So at the end of the day, like, it probably was the one that like was the one out of the bunch. But how many movies do they make about like singers and
I was gonna
bands and
say,
stuff?
There's all of them. There's Elton John. There's
But they don't usually. They're not
Freddie
nominated
Mercury.
for Best Picture.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You know, your mom watches it at the the next holiday, and it's like, I love Bob Dylan.
Those are flight movies for me. Those are
Exactly.
flight movies. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue the Oscars talk coming up. Okay, welcome back to Oscar Talk with Taylor Epps. This is
Oscars
going to be
deep
like
dive.
this is going to be your podcast one day.
This is my magnum opus. I'm so excited for this moment to just yap about my favorite award show.
So we can go. We talked about the Best Picture. You said that if it was you voting, it would have been Wicked. I have not seen any of the movies, like I mentioned, but
Wicked.
Even Wicked, I will at some point. But the only one that I have any sort of semblance of an idea about is Wicked,
Because you've seen the musical.
because I've seen the musical multiple times.
And it's wonderful. And what did you think about the start of the show with Somewhere Over the Rainbow and then Home? And
So didn't know what Home was. Should I have known
The
what that
Wiz.
is? Okay, The Wiz.
We talked about The Wiz.
We did talk about The Wiz. I have tickets to The Wiz this weekend.
awesome. One of my
I won't
family
be going.
friends.
I won't be going.
One of my family friends is the Scarecrow.
Oh, exciting.
So I'm excited. So he went to my grandmother's church going up.
Yeah.
And he like posted or whatever. And I was like, oh, hey, are you going to be in the Wiz this week? And he's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to be there. So
Oh, that's great. Are you going?
I'm planning to.
Okay, good. So when she started with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Ariana Grande, I was like, okay, so they're doing something. Mm-hmm. And then when Cynthia Erivo came out, am I saying that right?
Erivo.
Cynthia Erivo. Cynthia Erivo. When Cynthia Erivo came out, even though I didn't know the song she was singing, I was like, they're both out. Like, come on, this is a layup, right? They got to do Defying Gravity. So then Ariana walks back out, and I'm like, hey, let's go.
This is the
So
moment. Goosebumps at this moment.
I am sitting on the floor of our playroom in our house. My wife is on the couch. I'm sitting on the floor, and our daughter is running around in circles. They start singing Defying Gravity, which is, if you don't like musicals, whatever, the best musical song, at least in my... It's unbelievable.
Elite.
It's elite. So they start singing, and we're just locked in. Andrea's like holding back tears. I'm like, this is incredible. And then as they're getting to, Cynthia Erivo just belting out the like main part, our daughter like runs around the corner and like jumps into a couch. And I was like, oh, that's so fitting. Way to go.
This is what they wanted.
You knew your role. That was like a very much moment that I'll have in my head of her waddling around the corner and jumping with Defying Gravity going on. That was an incredible way to start the show.
Incredible way to start the show. They teased it a lot all week. They were like, you guys are performing. Are you opening the show? And they were like, oh, we don't know. I think it was a super exciting way to start. I don't think there's a better way to start. I think I'm hearing a lot like, oh, Wicked was snubbed. I don't think Wicked was snubbed.
Well, they won 2 awards, correct?
They won production design, which is incredible because they built the entire set in London, like on just an empty lot.
Cool.
They're on water and everything. It was awesome. And then they won costume design, which I think is absolutely incredible. Now, like, was Wicked snubbed? Were Ariana and Cynthia snubbed? No. Like, it's an honor to be nominated, actually. Like, musicals don't get this kind of recognition.
Yeah.
The fact that Wicked was in the room is like the win. I do not think that even if the people who won the awards over Cynthia and Ariana, even if they didn't win, I don't think they were next in line.
Yeah.
And like, that's not to say anything about their talent. I would give them every award that exists if I had the chance. I just don't think that the Oscars normally gives them that kind of love. But the fact that they took home several awards, that's awesome. And I really feel like they spread the love around this year. I do think that A Complete Unknown is the only one that didn't win. I don't think that Nickel Boys won anything. Again, a wonderful story. It's about like a reform school in the 60s or 70s. And it's like investigative journalism, like blew up the fact that it was like super abusive to a bunch of kids. Like, it's just super artsy. And I don't know. You should take the time. But it's...
Why isn't there a category for musicals? Is it because that's reserved for the Tonys, basically, or like?
I guess so. Like in the Golden Globes, they do kind of everything, and they separate it as in best drama and then musical or comedy. I think you would think instead of just doing 10 Best Picture nominees, why don't we split it up into 5 drama, 5 musical comedy? But I don't think there are enough musical comedies that are Oscar worthy to build a whole category.
Would Anora, though, have fallen in that bucket, though?
Yeah.
So, okay. So you could have conceivably had The Brutalist win the best drama, and then you could have had
Nora
win
musical comedy.
And then Wicked could have still been in that subcategory, but then maybe something else that didn't get... I mean, there's so many...
Amelia Perez would have been in that category.
There's so many adaptations of these musicals that are... Obviously, they turn into movies. Like, I am not a huge movie guy, so I haven't seen all of them. But, like, Les Mis is a movie, right? Like, all of these other ones.
But, like, the production quality... Like, the reason that Wicked is here is because they made it a thing.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else took this musical and then like put a bunch of famous people in it and we're like, okay, go. I think Wicked had thought put into it and they really transformed and made this place, which was really awesome. And I think that's what movies are about. It's supposed to like take you out of your life and like put you into something super magical. And I think most of the Best Picture nominees did. I think all of them did.
So for me, I saw Wicked as a kid. It was here. So my parents growing up had season tickets to Shays. So I would get to go to shows every once in a while. And I don't know if I appreciated it as much as a kid as I did later on in life. And it's funny because I don't think I appreciated Wicked to the full extent until after I saw Hamilton, which is a weird way of thinking about it. But I went into Hamilton, everybody talked about how incredible it was going to be. It was amazing. But then I remember seeing Wicked after I had seen Hamilton, and I was like, I think I like Wicked more.
I think you also have to remember that like a lot of musicals and a lot of things we're talking about are like, you know, they have the adapted screenplay thing. Like Wicked is a movie based on a musical, based on a movie, based on a book.
Yes.
Like we're really, really playing into like just kind of recreating these stories that we've known and loved, which is why it's so nostalgic for us. But Anora came out of some guy's brain.
That's
like,
amazing.
That's an original story.
That's
so I think you have to
me.
kind of give them a little bit of credit there. Even like Hamilton. Hamilton's based on a book written about history.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they make it fun. And like, I think that's what's fun about musicals is you can like just kind of create something out of something that already exists and make it fun and sing about it. But like a lot of the stuff that gets awarded at movies is like a conclave. It's not a real story.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's something that
loosely based off of history and real life events and things that could happen.
And I'm Still Here is based on a good story. And that one won international film, which I'm really excited about. That's the one that's completely in Portuguese. So like that takes a lot of work. And that's another reason. Like it's not really accessible. That one I watched in theaters. The shout out to the Dipson Amherst Theater right by UB South.
Nice.
They have a bunch of theaters around Western New York, but they do the work. Like they have like all these movies available because they know the Oscars are coming up.
Yeah.
They also do like showing where they just show like the documentary shorts, the animated shorts. They line them all up to like one sitting just so you can be like prepared. So next year, Dips in theaters. I go to the one by UB South.
She's talking about dips in theaters and the digital shorts and how you can have all of that stuff available. Tonight, I am going to the arena to watch Raw, WWE Raw.
Are you going to that?
Yes, I'm going to with DJ, of course. So you want to talk about a different perspective on life? We got you covered from both angles. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. we will end this. I want to ask you a couple big picture questions about like movies and musicals because you're the perfect person for this. Is there anybody we haven't given love to though, specifically with the Oscars last night?
I think that's everyone. I talked about Conclave. I talked about I'm Still Here, A Complete Unknown, The Substance. No, we have to talk about The Substance briefly.
Okay.
That one's awesome. That's one I think that's like the talker.
Is that Demi Moore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Demi.
Sorry, whatever. Sorry.
I thought she was gonna win Best Actress, but like her not winning honestly just like proves the movie right. It's about like when a woman reaches a certain age, she's gonna get swept under the rug, and the young hot thing's gonna come take the award.
Sure.
Which is exactly what happened last night. But that's a good one. I mean, it's really gross and disgusting, but like if you're bored one night. And you and Andrea are like, I got, you 8 hours before.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that one.
All right.
And then Amelia Perez stinks.
Okay. I won't watch that one.
Nope.
If I'm going to watch any of these, it's going to be
Wicked.
and then Anora. Those will be the two that I watch.
And Conclave.
Oh, yeah. Well, Conclave. We might be watching. I mean, Conclave is, I feel like that's going to be one of those movies that you watch in religion class down there. Is it like negative on the Catholic Church, or is it just?
No. So like the whole point is like the Pope dies.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler. It happens in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they have to pick a new one, and the conclave is the process of picking a new
of
pope.
Course, yes, for sure.
And
the white smoke.
Yeah, right. And then they're battling between like the more conservative views of the Catholic Church and like the more progressive views, and like who are they going to pick? And then there's a bunch of drama like surrounding the pick, and the guy who plays Voldemort, Ray Fiennes, is just like stressed throughout the whole thing. So you're just kind of trying to figure out, and you're watching like all the players kind of get like knocked from contention as it gets closer, and then there's a twist at the end.
Ooh, I like
where
twists.
it's like. I mean, some people are like, "Oh my gosh, twist!" I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Okay, interesting. What is this is a loaded question for somebody who sounds like they adore movies. Do you have a favorite movie?
I do have a favorite movie, but I also will say that like I'm like a movie buff baby.
You're dipping your toes into the Academy.
Right. Like I've seen probably the more notable movies of the past like 3, 4, 5 years. I haven't seen like the classics. Like I've never seen like Jaws. I've never
Fiddler
seen
on the Roof. Have you seen that? Yeah.
I know of it because it's a musical.
Yeah, sure.
But like I'm trying to think. Like I've seen The Godfather once. Like I don't think any of the classics. Like I've never seen like Mamma Mia or anything.
Yeah,
like
okay.
there's like anything that happened, when I was a kid and I was still watching Disney Channel, I didn't go back and watch.
Sure.
But my favorite movie is Titanic.
Oh, interesting. Crazy. Never seen Titanic.
Titanic's a wonderful movie. I think it has everything. Like I like a movie where I feel like I'm locked, and it happens in thirds. It's the first part. You're introduced to the characters. The second part is like, okay, there's some tension here, and then iceberg, and then the whole last part is that. And I think that all of that happening is really entertaining. Plus, it's a love story. It just has everything I like. My mom saw the movie when she was pregnant with me, so I think that that was my first viewing from the womb, which is why I like it a lot. But nothing else stands out to me as like, oh, it's my favorite movie. I also really like Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, it's a great one. Yeah.
Incredible
Quentin
movie. Quentin Tarantino.
Right? Yep.
Pulp Fiction. I like Quentin Tarantino stuff.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino. I took a film class in college, and the only movies we weren't allowed to review were Quentin Tarantino because they were so outside the norm that it felt like that wouldn't be a good way of teaching you about other films and other ways.
It's its own category.
Because it just like breaks every rule of every film that you've ever thought ever. Mine's really interesting. So I have a couple. I love Forrest Gump, but I don't think I would say Forrest Gump is my favorite movie. Love the soundtrack, love the story, love that somebody came up with that. I think my favorite movie might be just The Lion King.
Okay.
The Lion King is to this day, The Lion King like sends a chill down my spine.
How do you feel about the like remake live action?
Don't care. Like good. I want other people to be exposed to the story and to all of the just amazingness of it.
But the original
just the original with the cast that they had. And then I've got I love sports movies. When you work in sports, it makes sense that you would love sports movies. Not huge on I love Miracle about the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team. I can't recommend that enough. Remember the Titans is incredible.
Never seen that.
Really?
I know, that's a big one.
Wow, that is a big one.
Denzel question mark?
Denzel, yes.
Sure.
Not a question mark. But yeah, there's a bunch of movies like mainstream, very popular. I've never seen Titanic. I've never seen Avatar. I know that one would take like 3. I just don't.
I wouldn't. Oh, I didn't talk about Dune.
Oh, did you like it?
Sure.
Star Wars-ish?
No, I'd never seen a Star. Actually, I only saw the one where Samuel L. Jackson dies. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, Star Wars are fantastic. The original Star Wars trilogy.
Patience.
Really interesting.
I don't know. I like a Game of Thrones thing. I'm not like totally out of the realm of like nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
Just Star Wars just feels a little beyond me. Dune was great if you feel like spending the time to figure out what Arrakis is, Muad'Dib, and
I'm good.
Lisan al Gaib. Like there's all these like terms and the Bene Gesserit. They were just started throwing these terms out, and I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, no, I'm out. Are you watching any shows? I just finished a show for the first time last night.
Severance.
Severance. Did you watch Severance?
I haven't watched Severance. It's on my list because everyone's talking about it.
It was
Paradise is also on my
amazing.
list.
Yes, I've heard Paradise is very good.
I'm currently watching Love is Blind, like
Yes.
Andrea. I'm
Yes.
big into the reality TV shows. RuPaul's Drag Race. I want to get into The Bear. Abbott
Yep.
Elementary. I'm watching.
Which you can watch on ABC.
Which you can watch on everything. I don't know, like things like that. But I need to get to like this. Oh, White Lotus.
Okay, Andrea's watched White Lotus as well. Severance to me, do you know the concept?
No idea. I just know it's like people are at work and it's depressing.
So yeah, it's about people who choose to have a procedure where they split their brain to their work brain and their like outside brain.
Whoa.
But you have no idea about what's happening in the other one when you're in that moment. So when
Work-life
you're
balance.
so when you're at work, you have no idea what's going on outside of work, but you also don't know who you are. You don't know if you have a family. You don't know where you're from.
So
don't
like
know.
you wouldn't know Andrea if you were here.
No, you'd have no
wouldn't know
idea.
Ellie.
And then when you're at home, you have no idea what you do or who you work with. You just know where you work and how you get there, but you have no idea what happens when you're there. And it's written by Ben Stiller. So shout out Ben
wow.
Stiller. And it's very serious, but at the same time, very fun. It's I cannot recommend it enough. I'm addicted. I started it a week ago, and I like legitimately can't stop thinking.
You're just
about
like
it.
inhaling all the content. But what's okay? So I obviously it's a
We
concept.
gotta go. We have 9
no!
seconds. We'll continue this
Next
later.
week, next
These always go so fast. That's Taylor Epps. I'm Matt Beauvais. Have a lovely rest of your Monday. We'll see you guys tomorrow.